Hi guys, welcome to another Off Cuff, and today we're going to be talking about some of the more recent donations from our well-known billionaires. I don't know if any of you guys know about this or not, but Jeff Bezos recently gave $200 million. One was to chef Jose Andre, if that's how you pronounce his name, I've never heard of the bloke, and the other one was to Van Jones. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard of Van Jones. This is arguably the more worrying one, particularly because of the fact that Van Jones has spent a long time trying to free patently guilty people. I'm not saying everyone he tries to free is guilty, but many of them are. And not just guilty of horrendous crimes. You know, one of the people that he's recently tried to free, that he's saying did not commit, I think he's in there for, well, he is in there for murder. He had a rape overturned, not overturned, but whatever you call it, when you move it to one side, if they plead guilty for the murder, but they know that he raped her because of, let's just say, evidence inside her. But these people, including Van Jones, have come forward and they're sort of acting like this guy's an angel. And there are many people like that under Van Jones's whip hand, let's just say. Yeah. And then the other one is George Soros. George Soros, age-old villain, darling of the left, particularly the European Socialists of various parties. Not even necessarily just left-wing parties. It could be right-wing parties that believe in a little splash of socialism in there. But yeah, he is loved by many of them around the world. Okay, so who is George Soros? Well, born in 1930s Germany, obviously had to go through World War II, or endure World War II. I think he emigrated to America when he was like 17, 18. Spent a lot of time in the UK as well. And essentially, he is a financier who has interfered, to put it bluntly, go away, cat, with world politics for decades. Now, I'm not saying that at heart he's like an evil. I know there are a lot of people that think he's Satan reincarnated. I just think that he's misguided. I think that he thinks if he goes around all these different countries putting in what he thinks is the correct way of doing things, that's democracy. I don't think that is democracy. I'm not the biggest fan of direct democracy anyway. Like if 90% of the people in the room are stupid, then it's not a great idea to put things up for a democratic vote. But he says he stands for a liberal democracy, a global liberal democracy is what he says he wants. He's spent, I think, $16 billion of his fortune trying to do that. But yeah, and I have some facts here. So, Soros is a convicted felon. Happens to the best of us, I guess. He was convicted of insider trading in France in 2002 and ordered to pay 3 million euros. Chump change for George. Soros comes from an anti-Semitic Jewish family and was a Nazi collaborator. This is from the Daily Wire. I'm going to take that with a pinch of salt, just because I don't know. I'm just going to take it with a pinch of salt. But he says in his own words, "My mother was quite anti-Semitic and ashamed of being Jewish," Soros said. And Soros is not his real name. That was a name that he changed his Jewish name to. Given the culture in which one lived then, being Jewish was quite a clear-cut stigma, a disadvantage, a handicap, and therefore there was always the desire to transcend it, to escape it. Soros later said in an interview that he did not feel any remorse about confiscating property from other Jews in World War II as a teenager. Sounds like a nice guy. I don't deny the Jews their right to a national existence, but I don't want to be part of it, he said. Okay. Soros basically funds the leftist mainstream media. Well, we all know that. It goes without saying. And then it lists, I don't know, about 50 different people from CNN, MSNBC, CBS, BBC. How do you fund a private, I suppose, independent things they do? Soros created a shadow party of leftist organizations that basically have control of the Democrat Party. Yeah. Yeah, it's not. According to Discover Networks, the McCain-Feingold law allowed for organizations called 527 committees, defined as independent groups that could produce issue-oriented adverts, voter education initiatives, get out the vote drives, and other party-building activities that move the Democrat Party further to the left. Some of these organizations included MoveOn.org and Center for American Progress. Soros is bankrolling Democrat presidential nominees. Well, he's done that for 20 years. Soros is connected with Donald Trump. This is the interesting bit, although I guess Trump was a Democrat of sorts. He was a sort of New York Democrat back in the 90s, wasn't he? Soros funded the building of Trump International Hotel and Tower in Chicago to the tune of $160 million. In fact, he had a fairly cozy relationship at one point with Donald Trump. In 2011, Trump even told conservatives, "Forget Soros, leave him alone, he's got enough problems." Has he? While Soros is committed to defeating Trump, he did help prop up Ohio Governor John Kasich in the primary, siphoning off votes from Senator Ted Cruz and paving the way for the Trump victory. Soros' Open Society Foundation says that Europe's refugee crisis should be viewed as the new normal. Accepting the current crisis as the new normal and moving beyond that needs to be the future, he said. We need to observe our partners as they respond and adjust to the new reality in light of the crisis in Europe and Mediterranean. Okay, a lot of people dying there, George. Soros funds Black Lives Matter. Soros has funded Black Lives Matter to the tune of $588 million over the last 5 years, the Washington Times analysis says. That's the Washington Times. Soros has a tendency to benefit himself. Yeah, I guess most billionaires do. And we also know one of the most famous things, or the things that George is most famous for, breaking the Bank of England. He didn't break the Bank of England. He essentially robbed a load of money from the taxpayers by shorting the pound. So back in 92, we had a very, in the UK, we had a very Eurocentric Conservative government headed by Europhile John Major. And a lot of people began to short the British pound, which, for those of you who are not familiar, it's essentially where you I won't go too it's where you bet against a currency, a stock, or a commodity doing well, and by borrowing other people's stocks and then promising that you'll pay them back if it does drop, then that's essentially how you can make a lot of money by betting that one of these things will go bad. It did. He made $1 billion, and the Bank of England had to borrow $5.5 billion, pounds, from the British people to pay him and to pay their other debts, led by his charge to short the British pound. So this guy blows my mind. It's very difficult to know exactly what he is. Like, is he just a provocateur? Does he enjoy messing about with other countries? I mean, the fact that he says he is a globalist, a liberal, democratic globalist, means that perhaps he doesn't have the same respect that some other people would for different countries and different societies. So he kind of just island hops between countries and donates 100 mil there, a billion there, 50 million there to various social activism organizations that cause quite a lot of problems. Like, he gave 800 million to the anti-Brexit campaigners, and then he gave another several hundred million to try and get them to have yet another referendum, even though it's already done and it's finished and it's through. He is still fighting that. So today we see that he is now putting a $1 billion fund to create an anti-nationalism university of sorts. Okay, so billionaire George Soros pledges $1 billion university fund to fight would-be dictators. George Soros pledged $1 billion to fight a new university network. I don't know if I read that right. George Soros pledged $1 billion to fund a new university network to tackle the spread of nationalism in a speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, where the financier and philanthropist also condemned President Trump and President Xi Jinping. Well, at least someone is calling out Xi Jinping. Okay, the Hungarian-born US billionaire announced the Open Society University Network, OSUN, as an international platform for teaching and research that existing universities all over the world would be able to join. Soros said the OSUN is the innovative educational network that the world really needs, adding that this Open Society Foundation will be contributing $1 billion to establish the international platform for teaching and research. Let's have a look. Soros said the network was the most important project of my life and would build on the work of his Open Society Fund, which has invested billions into pro-democracy and human rights campaigns. Okay, so at the moment Jeff Bezos hands Dream Corps founder Van Jones and World Central Kitchen chef Jose Andres $200 million to share with charities of their choice. Jeff Bezos gave CNN's Van Jones and celebrity chef Jose Andres a Courage and Civility Award in Texas on Tuesday following his successful space launch. They were both on hand to accept their $100 million, wouldn't you be, which was announced at the conclusion of Bezos' space launch press conference. Jones is a CNN political contributor and founder of Dream Corps, which is a non-profit for criminal justice reform. I would massively argue with that. I think he tries to free blatantly guilty people, including people that have pled down from charges like rape, where they found the person's DNA on the injured woman, but he's trying to free them for murder, and it's just, anyway, that's for another day. As he accepted the award, an emotional Jones said, "Sometimes dreams can come true." And just for a bit of fun, I thought we could read it in the BBC. And now I thought this was a joke, but apparently it's not. I thought we could read it in the BBC's Pidgin English category, for those that the BBC, in the bigotry of low expectations, deem too stupid to read in basic English that many people in the world use as a second language. But yeah, so let's read it in the style that the BBC thinks is appropriate for some reason, for some people. Van Jones. Real reason Jeff Bezos donate $100 million each to CNN contributor Van Jones and chef Jose Andres. World richest man and the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, donate $100 million each to two men for the work way dem they do to unify the world. CNN contributor Van Jones and chef Jose Andres both get award of $100 million each from Uga Bezos after I'm return from I'm flight to space. The purpose of the award na to encourage people way they show courage to try to unify or make the world way don two day divided to unite. Oga Bezos talk. The billionaire way give the award during press conference after I'm trip. Say the two men they free do too wetting them want with the money. E-comad say them fit give all the money to their charity. E also suggest say them fit share the wealth. E depend on wetting them want. The money na part of surprise, philanthropic initiative, or charity way the billionaire say I'm been planned the announce way I'm called the Courage and Civility Award. We need people way go unite the world, not be those way go scatter I'm talk. We need people way argue hard and act hard for wetting them believe in, but them they always do with respect for older people. Them no they attack people but issues. Unfortunately, we they live for world, we are this no they always be the case. But we still get role models. Yeah. So, wow, yeah, so there you go. So there's the story in Pidgin English, just in case the common English was difficult for you. I find it hard to believe that anybody would find that, but the BBC, in classic BBC style, believe that everybody except them is very stupid.
Hi there, who are you?
I'm Jeff Bezos.
And what is your claim to fame?